second grade. Today for this video, I am sitting in a different part of my office than I'm usually standing in. So I usually stand in front of the whiteboard, but today I wanted you to see my bookcase, so my little library in my house that has tons of books. Look at all of those. We've read some of them that are right here, my first day of school books, but we'll definitely read a lot more this year. So this video is for social studies. It's our first social studies class of the year. And we have a new book this year. So this is new to you. It is called Impact, California Social Studies, People Who Make a Difference. So you have two books. This one that's a hardcover, and this one is called the Research Companion. So it will have a lot of things that we are going to read, and it will teach us a lot, but we cannot write in it because this book belongs to the school. The other book, which I don't have to hold up, but the other book is a workbook that looks like this, that is called Inquiry Journal. So that is your workbook, has your number on it, and that is one that is okay to write in. So for today's social studies, we're going to kind of explore our hardcover book to see the different things that we will be learning about in social studies and to learn a little bit about what's called sources. If you haven't already, please get out your hardcover social studies book titled Impact. To start, let's talk about the name of this textbook. What does the word impact mean? The word impact has a couple different meanings, but the one we're focusing on is a strong and powerful effect. For example, you could say that reading the Bible and learning about Jesus and how he lived his life has had a great impact on you. It's been a powerful effect of how it's changed your life. So to have our social studies book named Impact means that we're going to learn all about things of the past and the present that could impact or affect our lives. So go ahead and open your social studies book, and you're going to turn to one of the first few pages. On the bottom left-hand corner, it has a little IV. That is a certain way to write numbers called Roman numerals, and this number stands for 4. So let's read this letter from the authors, the people who helped put this book together. Dear second grade social studies detective, who makes a difference in your life? Who made a difference in the past? Heroic people are all around us. You can even be a hero. In this book, you will find out about people who make a difference. You will also learn about more people's lives in our state long ago and today. As you read, be an investigator. What do you wonder about? Write your own questions and read closely to find the answers. What interests and excites you? Take notes about it. Use your notes to do a project to share what you've learned. Take a closer look at photos of real people and places. Use maps to find your way. Enjoy your investigation into the amazing world of social studies, a world full of people who make a difference. Sincerely, the Impact Social Studies Program authors. Look at the page right next to that letter. The top of the page says primary source. We're going to find out what that means today. Let's read the caption below the picture. It's important to read captions on pictures because it can tell us what's going on in the picture. Orville and Wilbur Wright were known around the world as heroes of aviation, so flying. In this photo from 1909, they fly their plane in France. So this is a real photo, a real photograph from 1909. And it has real people in it. And this is something that we can use to learn about the past. This is just an example of the many photographs and information that you will find out about in this book. Turn to the next page, titled Contents, and also it says Reference Sources. So this page tells us where we can find some other pages with important information on it. Now look at the page next to it. This one's titled Chapter 1, Families Today and Long Ago. So this will be the first section that we read, learn about, question, and we'll start it next week. So this one is all about families of the past. Let's read that question. It says essential question. This is a question that we'll think about throughout the whole chapter. Why is it important to study the history of families and learn about the past? Now turn to the next page. This is chapter 2, the second thing we will learn about in social studies this year, about people, places, and environments. Let's read that essential question, that really important question we'll think about. How do maps and globes help us understand our world? Chapter 3 is titled Economics, Goods and Service. And our essential question will be, how do we get what we want and need? So this one will talk about money and buying things and making things. Flip the page to where it says Chapter 4. This one is titled How Government Works. And our essential question is, why do we need government? So those rules, laws, people who help us to follow the rules and laws, and people who make them. Why do we need it? We'll explore that in Chapter 4. Look at the next page. This is Chapter 5, the last chapter, and it is called People Who Made a Difference. Our essential question is, how can people make a difference in our world? So, like the title says, this chapter will focus all about people and their influence, their impact on the world. So flip the page, and our title at the top of the page in blue, well, with the blue banner, is Skills and Features. So these next 4 pages tell us important topics and then the page that we can find it on. So this can be very helpful for looking for something specific. Now find the page that looks like mine. At the bottom of the pages, it'll say 2A and 3A. And this is just telling us a little bit more about our social studies book and how we can use all the information. So it says, getting started. You have 2 social studies books that you will use together to explore and analyze important social studies issues. Pause. What's analyze mean? To analyze means to look at something in detail in order to explain it further. So kind of like investigating. We're going to investigate this text, analyze it in order to understand it more. Let's keep reading. The Inquiry Journal. The Inquiry Journal is your reporter's notebook where you will ask questions, analyze sources, so investigate, and record information. So that will be your space to think. The Research Companion, so what we're reading right now, is where you'll read nonfiction. Remember, we've talked about that in reading groups. That means it's full of facts. You'll read nonfiction and literature sections, examine primary source materials, and look for answers to your questions. We're going to skip over the next few pages because I don't want this to be too long of a video. And we're going to move to page 8A. 8, the number 8, and the letter A. So find that, it looks like the one on the screen. And it's titled, Be a Social Studies Detective. Remember in reading groups we talked about the genre of mystery. And in mysteries, there are detectives, people who search for answers. We're going to do that in social studies. So let's read. How do you learn about people, places, and events? Become a social studies detective. Explore, investigate, report. Investigate primary sources. Primary sources, that's a word or phrase that we have heard again and again while reading. We're going to figure out what it is. Detectives solve mysteries by asking questions and searching for clues to help them answer their questions. Where can you get clues that will help you learn about the past? By analyzing primary and secondary sources, of course. But what are primary sources? A primary source is a record of an event by someone who was present at whatever he or she is describing. What are some primary sources? Clothing, photographs, toys, tools, letters, diaries, and bank records are all examples of primary sources. You guys can actually even find primary sources and share it with other people to teach them about maybe your past. For example, I have this photograph of my husband, me, and my dog, Mocha. And this is from 4th of July, 3 or 4 years ago. So this is a primary source. If I'm telling somebody about that year at 4th of July, and I want to tell them about the time I spent with my family, I could show them this picture. And this is a primary source because I was actually there. So this year in social studies, we will be exploring and seeing so many different primary sources. And we'll also learn about secondary sources. Let's read to find out what that means. A secondary source is information from someone who was not present at the event he or she is describing. Secondary sources are based on primary sources, such as a newspaper article. So anything that you read or see or hear about that's from like a reporter, somebody who wasn't actually there but knows about it, that would be a secondary source. That was a ton of information, and I hope it made you super excited for social studies this year to learn all about the world around you. Right now, I want you to just think about what are you the most excited about to learn in social studies. We kind of went over a couple of the topics, so think and maybe write just one sentence. You can write more if you want, but at least write one sentence about what you're excited about in social studies. I'll put a sentence starter in the learning grid. Thank you, second grade, for watching.